several of your underlying investments have really successfully digitally pivoted in this period, or even in some ways probably benefited from the environment in general. Could you talk about Madison Reed or Goldbelly or any of the other businesses in that regard, and how some of that seems to be being in the right place at the right time, but some of it is prescient and seeing that open-ended opportunity that these businesses have?
Well, and again, it gets back to the underlying culture of the business. And we called this fund Enlightened Hospitality Investments because I wanted to make it clear that the culture that we call Enlightened Hospitality would be the driving governor. And if we could find leaders who took that mentality to how they ran their businesses, how they treated their employees, and how they cared for their customer service, whether or not they were serving food, we would be interested. Some of our investments, as you just said, have actually thrived even more because of the pandemic. Some of them have thrived more despite the pandemic. One of my saddest things about the pandemic is I live to eat and I live to travel, because when I travel, I'm researching food all the time. Well, I can get anything from around the country via Goldbelly, and their business is just through the roof. So is Madison Reed. Last time I checked, it wasn't the right thing to do to go out to a hairdresser. Well, now you don't have to, because you can have it delivered, but with hospitality. And it gets back to how the business is run. And Madison Reed was a business that was part bricks and mortar, largely digital delivery. And it's just so much fun, so gratifying every now and then when a break goes your way.
For sure. That's probably a good segue into EHI, which is your investment arm. Maybe spend a minute just talking about how you got into the private equity business. That's how our paths first crossed about 4 years ago. But a lot of people probably don't know how you got into that business. Could you spend a minute talking about that?
Sure. My longtime friend and former college roommate, Mark Levitt, had been in the investment banking business. He was in the tech media telecom side of investment banking, and he was getting more and more calls that connected to our world. And meanwhile, I had been making my own investments episodically in a lot of startup businesses, some of which had had a fair amount of success over the years. And we had a talk one night after dinner at a Thai restaurant in New York. And he said, we should think about doing something intentionally as opposed to episodically. Mark, think I could be really helpful with fundraising and also bring a team who could do amazing due diligence. Danny, you should keep doing the sniff test as to the culture, the hospitality culture of these businesses and of their leadership.
How do you evaluate culture? Is it quantifiable, or is it more gut and feel?
It's such a good question. I want to get it to the point where it is quantifiable. It's not yet, though. We know the 6 emotional skills we look for in someone who we say has a high HQ, hospitality quotient.
Mm-hmm.
And first thing is to understand what does hospitality mean? Historically, hospitality meant restaurants and hotels and going to grandma's house for Thanksgiving. And right now, the way that I define hospitality is it's a potent business principle that describes the degree to which your stakeholders feel like you're on their side when they do business. Every business since the beginning of time has been a transaction at the base. The question is, how did that transaction feel? And so we're looking for businesses that look at that transaction with all stakeholders as if it's a win-win transaction. In other words, I will not win as a leader if my employees don't love coming to work and don't say this is the best job I've ever had.
Yeah.
I won't win as a leader if my customers don't win saying, I'm so happy that place opened next door to our apartment, or in my neighborhood.
Do you think that that HQ is something that is inherent, or can it be learned or taught?
I do think that it's inherent. I think emotional skills um, cannot be taught. That said, I do believe that they can be celebrated and championed. And I think so many people have these skills to a degree that they don't know because their last job never rewarded it or acknowledged it or celebrated it. By celebrating the values and the emotional skills you want, you can get a whole organization to move in that direction. And the other cool thing, you can get people who are not wired that way to opt out.
Right.
It doesn't make them bad people. It just, you can make it clear you're not going to be happy here because this is a company that prizes optimism, not skepticism.
That's great. Well, we've really enjoyed the partnership and the relationship with you, and learn a lot from you on a day-to-day basis, and just enjoy being a part of it. So we thank you for your time here, which is again enlightening, and look forward to many years together in the future.
Well, let me say to you, Todd, and to your colleagues, we've really, really appreciated your support. You help us, I think, to sharpen our skills at handicapping businesses and leaders and companies. And you know what, you run your business in that way. So if ever we could invest in your business, that you'd be exactly the kind of leadership we would be looking at.
We'll let you know. We'll let you know.